All right. Well, we survived here towards the end of the show. Do a couple intros here and kind of wrap it up. It's been really good, huh?
It has been. I enjoy these conversations, and I'll tell you what, though, a lot of talk and a lot of water drinking. Keep that mouth going.
That's it. Yeah, for sure. No, it's fun. We're getting to a point now where we can have a guest on and be the three of us. And, gosh, it's just good to get like-minded bow hunters on and really sparks the conversation. So it's been fun doing these with a handful of guests.
Yeah, a good variety of backgrounds from our guests, from just different styles of hunting to, some of these conversations with the wild man. I'm going to call him the wild man now, Sam Davis. But,
yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, we had a lot of great conversations this week. So
yeah, I laughed so hard the other night. God, he was just cracking me up. He was on one. He was holding court the other night. That was so funny. But yeah, some great podcasts. So today we had our friend Dale Perry on. We talked over hunting, talked over his Broadheads design, talked over some of his releases. It was really good.
Yeah. Dale's just, a salt of the earth type guy. Built a great Broadhead, and we've known him for a long time, and using a product that we believe in. So that just makes it that much better.
Yep. Absolutely. So we'll get into that podcast. We just want to thank a couple sponsors here. We want to thank Team Lodge. So went and visited with those guys today. They're building a great product. So they've got those the campers that sit down. You can get toy haulers. Just a really good product. So I can see why those guys are doing so well.
Yeah. A variety of sizes from the Grand Lodge all the way down to just a little 12-footer, bunk in there, a couple dirt bikes, a couple bicycles, four-wheeler, and everything in between. And so really customizable to whatever you can imagine as a hunter being and needing, they can build it for you.
Yeah, well, it's just so nice to have a comfortable base camp, whether the weather comes in or, two, it's just ease of setup. Like you just unload the thing, drop it to the ground, and you're done. You've got the best base camp in the world no matter what storm rolls in. And it seems like the wind doesn't affect it, so that's a major issue out west as you really get those trailers rocking in the wind. So, I think that's a quality feature of their product, and great guys that are hunters as well. So, we're really happy to have their support.
Yeah, set those trailers right on the ground.
Yep.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah. Well, and make sure to hit him up for that free rifle or bow.
That's right.
I don't even know if that promo's still going, but if you ask for it and you heard it here on the podcast, I'm sure he'll honor it. So,
right.
Make sure to throw that in the deal. But, great company. Really appreciate their support. So, thanks to those guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. And we have a new sponsor, so Stealth Cam.
Yeah, this is pretty exciting. I wouldn't call myself like a big trail cam guy. I don't rely on them all the time, but I love trail cams, and I've used them as a kid all the way up through, and they are a super valuable tool.
Absolutely. Yeah, I haven't used them much, but I'm going to start to use them more to keep tabs on things. So make sure to check your regulations, rules for the state you're in, but they do have cell phone cameras, which is so cool, where it just sends the photo to you. I think elk wallows, I think crossing saddles, I think for mule deer, trying to keep tabs or trying to figure out like what their patterns are and where they're moving to and from to catch them on a lot of these trails. I think there's a ton of benefits in these cameras, and I think for Western hunting, if we can start to utilize these a little bit more, we'll know about the type of bucks that are in an area, or we'll know what their patterns are a little bit better. So I think it's a quality product and really excited to get some in my hands.
Absolutely, just a variety of styles, and even if you're not going to use them for hunting, to use them for private land surveillance. It's a great tool for that as well. So,
you're right.
Thinking outside the box. I mean, a trail cam has multiple purposes, and the one thing I can think off the top of my head is a trail cam really allowed me to learn this elk unit that I was hunting a few years ago, because it's a migratory rut area. They come in for the rut. And so trail cam in there in the summer kind of gave me an idea of when these elk start, transferring from summer areas to the rut grounds. And so it gives you just a better, a more clear picture of what the elk are doing in the area. So
it makes complete sense. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So thanks to Stealth Cam for their support of the podcast. Good pricing or good cost on those cameras. You can get 2 packs. You can get the cell cameras, and then really high quality photos
4K.
and video. So yeah, they're doing good stuff over there. Thanks to those guys. And man, yeah. So. Gosh, we'll get into this podcast. At Eastmans, we have a special promo code going right now. So just plug in podcast for the Elite membership. The Elite membership has the Deer Collective, Elk Collective, TagHub for tag research, subscriptions to the magazine. So you get all that bundled into one, and you can save. I'm not sure how far I can bend Scott's arm to give us a good break on the promo code, but put in the promo code podcast and you'll save some money.
Yeah, you'll save some serious money, and on top of it, some free gifts. There's knife selection, there's camo from Cryptek, so it's really a cool package. As we're kind of going to the package bundle now, so the value for your dollar is pretty insane.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. See, what else do we got going on? We got the videos, man. It's been fun to see some of this footage come to life. So during the show, we've had some of your hunts, some of my hunts, Ike's hunts playing on here. It's fun to see that new footage that's going to be coming out.
Yeah, a lot of exciting stuff for 2025 and some last couple releases for the 2024 season of Beyond the Grid. We have our Alaska black bear hunt coming up here, released in March here. So maybe by the time this podcast is out, that video will also be out. And
the New Zealand red deer one is really cool. And you'll have to listen to the podcast. I think it was the one with Sam Davis where Sam talked me into going. So, yeah, we'll be going over to New Zealand this year. Super excited, man.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Lots of stags, the roar, get you fired up for elk. And
yeah, you had so much footage in that thing, man. It was just amazing. What a pretty place, too.
Yeah, it's like you're hunting in a movie. Mm-hmm. And it's a special place, and talk about just an incredible getaway into really some of the best hunting you'll ever experience. So,
100%.
Yeah.
Well, right on. Let's get into this podcast.
Okay.
It's a good one with Dale.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Put Dale Perry up with a big old 6x6. What'd that bull score, Dale?
When I killed him, it was 356.
Nice.
God, what a beast.
Little bitty thirds.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's a 380 frame.
Big top end.
Yeah.
Tons of mass.
That's what'll sell a guy on a bull, though, is a big top end.
Yeah, me too.
Well, and it was funny because we had him spotted. We watched him for a couple days, and he was like one of the 6 or 7 bulls we were looking at. We called him the turned up bull.
Just up a little bit. There you go. Yeah, right in
Here?
Yep, perfect.
Turned up bull because he turns up in the back. He's the only one out there that did it. Mm-hmm. And so it was like, okay, he's a hit list. And we had him right at 380, 375. But we were spotting him 2 miles away, so we really couldn't get a good look at his thirds.
Yep.
And so when we ended up killing him, he just bugled. We were leaving. We were headed back to the truck. It was like right at dark 30. And he bugled, and George, the guy I was with, was probably 40 yards to my right, and I was walking over this just little rise to look across the field to see if anything was in the field. And he came in, and I'm watching, I'm looking, and he bugles, and as soon as he bugled, I knew George would cow call. He did. Wind was blowing up this way. Bull came through the brush, and all I saw was that. And I'm like, that's him.
Yep.
Kill him. And so he ended up coming back. He winded George, which I knew he would because he was coming in upwind. And so he winded him, and the res was literally where that tape is. And so I'm standing here going, okay, let's go. And he comes over, and he walks. I'm like, where is he? Couldn't find him, and I saw an antler tip, and he was behind a juniper bush from here to that light. And I'm like, I come to full draw. I'm like, I'm going to shoot him at 5 yards. And he sticks his head out, and he looks at me, and I'm like, come on, a little bit further. And he turns and runs, goes back this way, and I took like 2 steps left, and I just cow called at him, mewed at him, and he stopped, and I'm like, 45. Nah, 55. Nah, 50. And I shot. And so I had no idea where I hit him. I wasn't shooting lighted knocks or nothing. And I had never heard a bull death moan. It sounds like a cow bull. And it's like, and there was cattle everywhere because we were on a cattle ranch. So I'm like, there's a big old bull standing over there. I'm like, I ain't walking over there. Somebody smash me, you know. And I did not know that that's what it was. And so George comes over and he's like, did you see that bull? I'm like, yeah, I just shot him, I think. He's like, did you hit him good? I'm like, I don't know. He's like, where'd you hit him? I don't know. You know, we look like Abbott and Costello doing Who's on First, you know. Well, was he big? I don't know, you know. I go, he's a turned up bull. I go, that's the bull he is. It's like, okay. So he goes, let's go look. So I'm like, okay. So we go look. We go find where he's standing. And it's amazing the power of those bulls. I mean, that's the crazy part. So he was standing, and when he pushed off, a boulder this big was like 3 yards from where it was embedded in the dirt from him just pushing it when he busted out after I shot him. And so we went 30 yards. We found blood right away. And so we're like, okay, this is good blood. Let's see what happens. And we just kept walking. And then George goes, I'd like to be the first to congratulate you. And I'm like, where is he? Where is he? Where is he? And so he was just laying down over there and walked up to him and heart shot him. I heart shot him because I guessed him for 50, and he was 55. We went back and ranged it. And so I'm not a heart shot guy. I'm a center mass guy.
Yeah.
You know, lungs are the best thing. So
Heart works, though.
yeah, heart works. Yeah, apparently really, really well.
Yeah.
Because he only went about 50 yards.
And that was your Arizona tag?
That was my YAP Unit 10 tag 2 years ago.
Okay.
Yep.
How many years do you have to wait for that one?
You know, I'm fairly lucky. I have drawn a tag probably every 3 to 5 years.
Resident elk.
I'm a resident elk.
Yeah.
Yep. And I only put in for trophy units. You know, I try to go to Idaho or somewhere else where I can just hunt elk. You know.
You like that 10, huh? That's
This is the
it's
first time I've hunted it.
It's kind of flatter, isn't it? The 10.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. There's certain spots of it that are real timbery. A lot of juniper pines, and so you can get close and not even know they're there. I mean, you guys hunt in forest, basically, but same thing. It's like, where are they? They're right here. I can hear them, but where are they? And it's crazy how fast they disappear. But we were hunting right on the res line because the 10 is surrounded by the res. And so we were hunting right on the res line and waiting for them to come off. And
what a tremendous bull, the top end, and then the mass, too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, he's real heavy, and I mean, I was thrilled. It's the biggest bull I've killed, so I was thrilled. We had some big bulls. We had some 400-inch bulls that were – we just couldn't get them to come off the res. So
and it's fun to have that opportunity at those kind of bulls.
I've looked at the draw odds as a non-resident for there, and I was like, not happening.
Yeah, I mean, it's
so
weird.
many points.
It's weird because, yes, there is a point in the Arizona draw where you get guaranteed something. You know, your max pool or whatever.
Yeah.
But even that, the max pool only gets a certain amount of tags. So if there's a bunch of people in the max pool, only a percentage of those people are going to go. So, I mean, I like the Arizona system because it's not a preference point. It's a bonus point. Your name just goes in the hat. There's people that draw sheep tags the first time they put in.
Right.
You know, so it is possible. Not likely, but possible.
Yeah. Yeah, I think getting away from some of those preference points, but it does reward you to have max points, but you can just never catch it now in these decent units.
Yeah. No.
So it doesn't really make sense anymore, but I do like that it's a hybrid system that you always have a chance, whether you have 0 points, and your chances get exponentially better the more points you get.
Correct.
So, you know, it does reward you for getting the points. So it's not a bad system for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, for me to draw a sheep tag, I have to get lucky.
That's like all of us in every state.
Yeah.
I'm max points in Montana. I got to get lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I think there's a system with that. I mean, there's definitely for Arizona. I mean, now they've changed kind of the over-the-counter thing for non-residents.
How's that working?
It seems to be working fairly good. I mean, basically the first year they did it, they really didn't tell anybody, which was really kind of interesting. They didn't tell them when it was going to happen. I believe Huntin' Fool was the first ones that came out with when it was actually going to happen. So it lasted like a day before they were out of tags. And then last year, it was 19 minutes.
I saw that.
Jeez.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I was I actually messed up last year. I had my dates messed up. I think it was November 10th it went on sale, but
I think so.
I was busy hunting mule deer and I missed it. So, so the system, it's quotas. At least they're managing per unit for those mule deer. A lot of those quotas are getting filled up with water bucks and younger bucks, but everybody's got to make their own decision. As long as it's legal, they can shoot the smaller bucks. But seeing some of those units close down, and I would like to see those units where they're like the timing's weird of how they count their quotas. They count,
I agree.
They count it really strange. So I'd kind of like to see some change there. How does that work again? How do they count the quotas?
So what they're doing, they're counting the quotas from January 1st to December 31st.
Okay.
The problem is because our seasons are two separate. I mean, you can buy a new tag January 1st, but the new season really starts August.
Yeah.
So if a ton of people kill in January, in August they could close down really quick, and then December you won't even get to hunt.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it should be from August to August.
Okay.
Is where the quota should work.
All right.
But what I saw in December this year was what happens is the units all start closing. And so all of a sudden the hunting pressure gets huge in the other units because everybody's moving to the other units.
I see.
And so we saw that. We saw that happen.
Okay.
Because it was like we were in a spot that was, 5 miles back on a dirt road. I could only hunt for 2 days just because of logistics and stuff. And 3 days before I was going, there was nobody there. But then the unit next to it closed. And then everybody was there.
Jeez.
So, I mean, it's public land hunting. I mean, that's why I kind of like these whitetail guys back east. They have their leases or their, whatever they're hunting, and they got it squared away, and so they can manage the pressure a little bit more. But, you guys, us, I mean, Eastman's been built on public land hunting.
Yep.
And then it's hard, and it's really hard to trophy hunt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is difficult for sure.
Putting that time in and being able to just, go out where a lot of people just don't have the ability to do that.
Yep, makes sense.
But
yep. Well, good. Man, your broadheads have been killing it for me. You've really been picking up steam. There's a lot of guys that are hearing about your broadheads and using them, and it seems like we're all getting similar results. So, it was only a couple of years ago you guys convinced me to use them for elk. I was a little worried about my short little T-Rex arms and my energy in my bow, but they were doing really good for mule deer and antelope and everything else. And then you guys convinced me and gave them a try, and been quite a few good bulls hit the dirt since then from that evolution hide. So, man, that broadhead sure is doing good for me, and I think it's doing good for a lot of guys out there.
It is.
Yep.
Yeah.
We noticed a big change. I mean, for being able to switch between the two, the hide and the Jekyll, which you used the Jekyll for a long time on elk, having a hybrid head that penetrates like a fixed-bladed head, which is what it's designed for because there's no dull edges. It penetrates like a fixed head. So we call it kind of a zero failure. Even if nothing happened, you're still shooting a fixed head. And that's just part of it, But the benefits of getting that extra going from 1 inch to 2 inch, that path that it cuts, the angle of the blades, it's devastating. I mean, it really is. And we have picked up a lot of steam. A lot of people believe in it. I mean, you guys have been shooting it. Dan, you've been shooting it for how long now?
Since the beginning.
Yeah.
Grave diggers before
Grave
that.
digger,
Yeah. So they, pretty much since you came out with it, we've been shooting it.
Yeah.
And recently shooting it on elk. Yeah, they just do so much damage. They're just great, good blood trails, and penetrate really well. That's one of the things I like about it. I notice sometimes that big cut, I'll have, shooting through a shoulder or something like that, I'll have those blades bust off, but it doesn't, that makes me happy, or it bends more than breaks. Sorry, that's the wrong terminology, but it'll bend and flatten it, but that's allowing it to get me that penetration as well
100%.
Because it does bend. Do you see that on animals too, Dan?
I haven't shot anything in the shoulder in a long time, but
Not even the offside?
I usually don't get through it on the offside. It'll stop on the offside, but at that point, they're dead within eyesight anyway.
Yeah.
But I see them bend, and I see to on, my arrow setup, pretty heavy helical, spinning so fast. So I'll get like a helical bend in the blades as it's traveling through that animal. I will see that. But as Dale expressed, I mean, that's the importance. I mean, you want a blade that bends around bone and then can take a little brunt and keep cutting. You don't want any shearing or breaking going on.
Right.
And, it's a huge difference. It's a huge difference.
That cut on contact helps too. Penetration.
It does. It does. I mean, it's 60 thou thick. The blades are designed to bend, or the kick-out blades are designed to bend. The other blades don't bend.
Yes.
But we've noticed that, there's a bunch of products out there that have different things about swiveling around or missing or whatever. But, for us, we want to cut bone. I don't know if either one of you have ever broken a rib, but it sucks because you don't go and move around. So shooting through a rib and breaking it or cutting it, that's important. And most people are shooting enough juice to do that on most animals. What's your setup? 'Cause you said
26.5-inch draw, 70 pounds. I'm about maybe 270 feet per second.
Okay.
I don't shoot it through the chrono very often.
Right.
450 grain arrow.
Yeah, so you shoot the same arrow that I shoot. I'm 28.5, 70 pounds, and there's nothing I won't shoot at. I don't have an issue with any of it. So, and Staten, he's that same. He's the same as you, and that's kind of the arrow setup he's going with. So,
remember when we were in Hawaii, and there's that wild bull, and it's a big dense animal. Shot him with a hide and passed through.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of modern technology. Back in '99, I think I had like a Martin Cougar bow or whatever it was. And, back then we were like, worried about penetration and worried about energy. And I'm 29-inch draw and, 450 grain arrow, and I'm like 297 feet per second. And, on the Easton charts, that's like, I think it comes out to 90 foot-pounds of kinetic energy.
Which is huge.
For a numerical, reference, which is huge. And they say that you need 67 to hunt a Cape buffalo.
Yeah.
And so with modern equipment, if you have a longest draw, in my opinion, it's a waste of your bow's ability to not shoot an evolution hide. Why not cause more damage if you have that ability and you have that energy in your setup? Now, would I have that same viewpoint like on Eva's setup?
Right.
No, I don't. I mean, I screw on the Jekyll for it. We go elk hunting, and you got to factor that in. But, I mean, that's the luck. I mean, I'm spoiled because I have so much energy.
Right.
And I'll shoot. If I ever draw a bison tag, I will shoot it with a hide. And
we've killed a lot of bison.
Yeah.
Actually, it cuts right through the hair. The design itself, the way that there's no dull edges, it cuts through the hair, through the hide, just like any fixed blade would.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, looking at hunting those Asiatic water buffalo down in Australia, they got tough hides.
Yeah.
But yeah, I won't hesitate after seeing what they do on bulls. And I said it yesterday. I'd rather, like Dan says, it's almost a waste of your energy if you're not trying to pass through that big cut, that big wound channel through them. And I said it yesterday that I'd rather have just an entrance with that head than I would a fixed blade getting a entire pass through them.
Right.
It just does more damage when it gets in there. And so I've had no problems with penetration. I get tons of pass-throughs on deer, all different distances, on elk, like things performing great for me. I don't even hesitate. I got to stay away from the shoulder, but that's like on all animals, all heads for me. And really, the shoulder's not what I'm aiming for.
No.
It's a little far forward, or if you get that angle wrong, boy, you can sure be in front of those vitals as well. So I'm always trying to stay away from the shoulder anyways, and you got so much soft spot to hit on those animals.
Center
and
mass.
they just do damage. And where they really do well is like on the edge of those vitals. So it's any broadhead's going to kill them. You hit them through the center of the lungs.
Agreed.
But where the hide shines is on the edge of the vitals.
Right.
Those liver hits, or if you're a little high, a little low, there's some shots on the edge of the vitals that can make for tough blood trails and tough recoveries, but they make it a lot easier when you do that much damage.
Yeah. We just had some other podcast guys, and they wanted to test the broadhead. They went down to Texas and they shot a bunch of stuff with it, and the whitetail fury and the hide, and And they were sending me pictures. Oh, this died here and this died there, and it, 20 yards and 10 yards and 5 yards, but I'm looking at the pictures and they're making great shots. And my text was, I know this doesn't sound right, but if you're testing a broadhead and shooting them there, any broadhead's going to work, And so they said, yeah, we have a couple that worked that we don't really want to show because they weren't the greatest shots in the world. I said, but that's what broadheads are. Broadheads are about your bad shots, not your good shots.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you center punch everything and if you heart shoot everything, any broadhead's going to kill it. Don't even technically need a broadhead, But it's how they perform when things don't go right. And in the field, we never know what's going to happen. We never know. And that's what makes broadheads so important.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I've saved this story, and I think we've talked about it a little bit, but my Montana bull. And, you think about all these situations, and I hear this all the time with guys with, they're shooting fixed heads, and they're like, I want to shoot that broadhead that you're shooting, tell me more about it. And so I talk about it. I want to switch this year because, they had one bad experience.
Right.
And I think that's so important because you can't base a decision on what broadhead you're going to shoot off of one bad experience.
Correct.
It's got to be a grouping of statistical gatherings before you make a decision.
That's right.
Yeah.
So this year, Montana bull, 61 yards, quartering away, that last rib. I hit it perfectly, that last rib on the entrance. It's a big bone, right?
Yeah,
on a
one,
big bull elk
back.
at that angle. I mean, the brunt of that bone, that's what you're hitting. I didn't get a pass through. 2/3 penetration probably, and no blood out the entrance. And that bull went 700 yards. And I truly believe that shot, if I were to shooting like a small fixed head, a 3-blade, something small, I would have never found that bull. I truly believe that. And, okay, did that bull go and die within eyesight? No, it didn't. But like you said, it's about your bad shots or the less than ideal situation. And it's a game of inches. If I was this far to the left, that thing's going to bury in the far shoulder. That thing's going to die within eyesight they happen 80% of the time. But you just don't know what you're going to encounter. So you can take the best broadhead on the planet, I'm convinced, the hide, but it doesn't mean they're going to fall within eyesight every single time. That's not the reality of anatomy on animals.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah, right. That'd be great. But it's just not how it works.
No, it isn't.
It's not reality. And so, okay, this bull didn't die within eyesight. Am I going to consider switching? No, because I have 87 other instances where I didn't have to track my bull,
right,
or my buck, or my on and on and on. It's about a gathering of a grouping of statistics and then basing a decision off that. And so I guess the point is, don't get turned off of one instance that I didn't have a die with an eyesight scenario.
Right.
That's just reality.
Yep. Right.
I think we all have those. That's like, it's not a perfect world. And we looked over that film of mine and saw that shot on my buck. It was like the season before last season, and I'd hit him a little bit forward. And I'm convinced it was the damage that head did that allowed me to continue to blood trail, to catch up to that buck, put another shot into him. And it was just a little bit forward into the shoulder and out the front. And, just like, but where it saves you are on those marginal shots, I think, which really helps.
Yeah. And that's what's important. I mean, we've had a ton of success with the new Whitetail Fury, which is the hide. It's just a little bit wider.
What's the cut on it, Dale?
2 3/8.
2 3/8. And the standard one is 2?
2.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that 2 3/8, guys are having a lot of success using those on whitetails or
deer size animal.
Is that what I should be using for mule deer now?
You can. Yeah. I mean, everything I've killed in the last 2 years, from a year of testing and then a year since it's been out, I've killed with that broadhead, other than my bull elk. I killed that bull with the hide.
Okay. So you've been using it?
Oh, I use,
Yep.
yeah.
Bigger cut, more wound channel.
More wound channel.
Yeah,
it's
you got tons of
devastating.
energy.
Yep. I mean, I'm at 83, I think, is my KE on my bow. So I shoot a 450 grain arrow, 28.5-inch draw length, 70 pounds.
Have you tried those, Dan?
I have.
Yeah. Tried them on axis?
Axis. I haven't shot him at an elk yet. I just haven't. I don't know why. I don't know.
I haven't shot him at elk. We had some people this year shoot him at an elk.
Yeah.
I mean, it is just a bigger cut. Because the blades are shaped exactly the same, they just run out a little bit further.
Right.
So the tips aren't as strong because they're a little bit thinner. So I'm not a huge fan of shooting them at elk, even though we had a lot of people very successful with it. Just because I like the structure of the blades and the hide a little bit more. But for deer and oh man,
antelope,
bear
yeah.
are huge because bears notoriously don't bleed. And so they cut big wound channels.
Gosh, I love using those hides on those bears. It makes
Yeah.
a big difference with that long hair, small vitals.
Yep.
Yeah, it does a lot of damage. I think that's definitely a hack for hunting bears is shooting those expandables. Yeah, it really helps. Well, and their vitals are a third the size of a whitetails. And
they're tiny.
They actually sit back a little bit. So, yeah, you want to do a lot of damage when you hit those. But, yeah, I should try that bigger blade. Sounds like on deer, antelope, bear. It'd be great. But it is a balance. With all these heads, it's a give-take, right? You can't just keep going bigger and bigger and think you're going to kill everything with it. Like, there is a give-take on elk because you want that penetration. They do have big bones. You want to be able to get through them. So, yeah, you don't want to go too big to where you're giving away your penetration on bulls. So that's where the evolution hide fits perfect. And the hide's been great for deer and everything I'm shooting
best
at.
all-around head.
But
you
now,
want to shoot on everything.
with that 2 3/8, you can get a little bit bigger wound channel. Sure, you're going to give up a little penetration, but on a deer-sized animal, it doesn't matter. You got plenty of energy.
Yeah.
Interesting.
There's definitely a science to it, obviously, with the blade cut, 2 inches. There's something about it. There's something about it, and you can see it after you test it quite a bit, and you look at penetration, and you're like, okay, I'm getting through most of my elk. Every once in a while, if I on the offside, if I T-bone up a couple of ribs with the expandable portion, it won't go through. But that's what you're looking for is
the opposite
on
side.
the offside. Yes, on the offside.
The first two it'll go through no problem.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter. The elk's still dead with an eyesight.
Right.
It doesn't matter. You're not blood trailing anyway. And I should pay attention to that more. I mean, I do sometimes, but if they die with an eyesight, like I don't look at blood on the ground, right?
I'm notoriously bad at that.
Yeah.
And people always ask us, well, do you have pictures of wound channels, or do you have pictures of entrance wounds, or do you have pictures of that? As you know, the way the Broadhead's designed, it's designed to penetrate and open on entry, not on impact. So unless you're quartering a little bit, your entry hole is basically going to be, on a broadside shot, the size of the Broadhead closed. Now I've looked at this, and I should probably take more pictures of this, but I've actually had the blades open so fast when they come back, they'll actually cut the hide.
Yep.
And so there'll be the hole, and then there'll be 2 little cuts on the edge, and it's from the blades deploying backwards. And so what that gives us is, people say, well, I want big entry wounds, or I want big this, which a rear deploying Broadhead is awesome for that. I mean, that's what they're designed for. But the give for that is you have a fully deployed 2-inch Broadhead that is cutting hair and hide of an animal, which is the hardest thing to get through. I mean, you guys have gutted animals, caped animals. Do you ever start in the shoulder? No, because that's where the hair is the thickest. It's the hide's the thickest. You don't want to dull your knife, so why ask your Broadhead to do that?
Oh, that's a good point. I never thought of that.
So and that's what you're doing. You're trying to get a Broadhead deployed to where that's where we pick up all our penetration, is because it does penetrate like a fixed blade. And when it expands inside, there's nothing to stop it. I mean, the vitals aren't going to slow it down. Gut shots. And there's a weird thing based on the blade angle. And this is just something over the years that we've noticed. And it almost creates a vacuum the way it goes through something. So we've had a lot of gut shot animals where it's a pass-through, but what it does is when it cuts that hole, it's actually creating this vacuum and ends up sucking the vitals out of that hole. So, and it happens a lot. More than I would think. And so it was kind of like, why is this happening? And what we found, if you look at ballistic gel when you shot into it, it pulls the gel along with it in slow motion. And so, and it's just the angle of the blades and how they work. So it's, like you said, science. I mean, it's just, and some of it's unintended. You know,
Yep.
it's just based on, we found this works the best and this, that, and another. A lot of people talk about blade angle. The blade angle that the Hide and the Whitetail Fury and all those are different than what the Gravedigger was. They were more swept back.
Yep.
But we found that blade angle doesn't hurt penetration, but it creates way more damage.
Yep.
And that's why the blades are curved. So it's just, trial and error and how they work and what we've learned in each time. And every time we come out with a new style or design for this, it's mainly just blades. I mean, we have the new turkey blades that they only open to 80 degrees, so they don't go back because it transfers the energy to the bird.
Okay.
So it's all a working theory that we change constantly.
Yeah,
So.
well, it's working. It's performing really well. I love the fixed on the front, sharpened both ways. They're really aerodynamic. I'm getting them to fly really good at all different ranges. Seems like I can get good steering with a low-profile vane on them, Those arrows coming out straight. So, yeah, I'm getting the aerodynamics that I want, the accuracy I want out of them, and then definitely the performance. And, man, it's like anything you can put on your side of the equation. Like this is a game of inches, and it's not a perfect world.
Yeah.
Animals wheel at shots. They turn
it's crazy.
angles. Arrows deflect off ribs, off shoulder
Yep.
bones. Like there's so much that can happen in between releasing that arrow and hitting that animal. And so you just want everything on your side for the best chance at recovery. And yeah, these hides are definitely doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
This guy stopped by yesterday, and he's like, "Hey, I just want to tell you, my buddy said that Dan shoots these hides. I need to shoot him this year." So I thought, okay, because he's shooting Montex in the past. And he's like, "Dude, I shot my bull and I didn't have to track it." I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "It was awesome." I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "I'm not switching." I'm like, "Good. Make your life easier." I want to give a chance to plug. So Beyond the Grid coming up.
Okay.
Black bear hunting. All whitetail furies with black bears.
Yep.
6 of them. Me and Jack Anderson up there. Shot 6 bears. The farthest bear went 50 yards.
Wow.
And we had one bear that exactly what you just described with like the lung, like it sucked out in that.
Yeah.
Just because it's tight. You hit him a little back, you kind of get in the liver and guts a little bit.
Yeah.
But quartering shot, and it's like a
It
vacuum.
sucks out the entrance, huh?
It's out the exit
No,
on
out
this.
the exit hole.
Yeah.
Okay, that
on
makes
this
the
one.
exit hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, it pulls it
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Gosh, I don't know that I've seen it with my critters, or I haven't been paying attention. But sometimes I do get up there. I mean,
and what I've seen are like the hard angles.
Yes.
The hard angle, like the big gashing, like gaping angles that you get at a good quartering shot.
my bull I shot this year, I found chunks of lung everywhere,
Yeah.
and it exited.
I actually had a customer to hear at the show come up to me and he's like, "I shot a bull." He goes, "It wasn't a great shot. He was kind of through the guts, up through the back of the diaphragm. So there wasn't a lot of blood, but I was following chunks."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, there was like a chunk of gut and then a chunk of liver and then a chunk of diaphragm or whatever and then a chunk of gut." And he goes, "And I just followed it until I found him." And I'm like, "Oh my God." He's like, "Yeah, he didn't bleed." But he goes, when I gutted him, this old chest cavity was full of blood.
Yeah.
But yeah, he said he was following chunks. And I'm like, "Okay, that's awesome." But it's different for sure.
Plugs up the hole. Obviously,
It does,
is what
and
happened.
And what happens is that's what it sucks it out, gets a little bit going, and then it plugs up, and then he keeps moving, and it blows it out, and that's where that chunk goes, and then it goes and blows it out, and so yeah, it's pretty wild. But
Yeah.
we're happy. I mean, we've grown. We have a lot of people shooting it, and I've told you guys this forever. We don't have a retention problem. People that shoot it keep it. We had an eyeball problem that's kind of going away, so we're retaining more customers.
Good.
Customer service is still our best. If you ever have an issue, just call us, let us know, send us an email. We're going to take care of you because the customers out there they're what makes us successful. Friends and family and you guys and all that stuff have gotten to experience for a long time what we're trying to achieve, and it's trying to make archery better. And that's it, from the releases that we make for the, everything that That's the big part we're going with.
Yeah, so hinge release that clips to the string.
Yep.
It's got a clicker in it that's adjustable. Yeah, I bet your release is doing really well, huh?
Yeah, the Ibex is doing really, really well. I mean, we've had a lot of people go from shooting an index finger or shooting a thumb to shooting it. We are coming out with a thumb. It's in production now that shoots the exact same spot. So you can switch between the Ibex hinge, and then this is called the Ibex Shadow. It's a shadow of it. They look almost identical. And we've done research on it and did all the testing and have found I can shoot a Vegas round and switch every 3 arrows and not notice a difference in score between the two releases.
Deal, it's almost like you're a diehard bow hunter that are really producing products that we need in the industry. That's amazing. It's always been the problem. I love shooting a hinge and I love shooting a thumb, but I can't change in between the two. They're not interchangeable. They don't hit in the same spots. Right. So, yeah, that's going to be amazing, being able to use both releases.
Yeah, and it will be. And a lot of people say, I want to practice, or I want to do 3D with a hinge, get my form down, and then I want to shoot a thumb when I hunt, just in case I have to command it or whatever. And that's kind of what we've tried to achieve. And in designing the Ibex, a lot of people have tried to design a thumb trigger to hit like to shoot like a hinge. Well, when I designed the Ibex, I tried to design a hinge that shot like a thumb trigger. And I had to build that because I knew I could build a thumb trigger. I didn't know if the hinge part was going to work because it was all theory, and it did, and it was very successful, and we've made tweaks and improvements and stuff, and so changed some screws to make them more durable and some different springs and stuff. So it's been a great journey, and the thumb trigger we've have a huge demand for it.
I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great release to hunt with for sure.
Yeah, it is. A lot of people do.
Yep. You like the hinge. I love shooting a hinge for sure. Yeah, and that click makes it nice. It's so nice you can clip it to the string. I just think that saves a complete step from an index or from the standard hinges that you use. And so what I mean is you can clip it to your release and then you can go hunt and make a stock on a bull elk. When you see a bull elk with a standard hinge, you have to have your hand right and you have to look down at your string loop and clip it in and then look back up at the bull elk. In that little looking away and looking back up, it's amazing how many times you get caught there. Yeah. Where your release, you clip to the string, you see that bull, you range them, you don't even have to look down. You just grab for your release, and so you never take your eyes off that bull. So I feel like it saves a step there that makes us really effective, and that's part of the reason why you designed that release as well, right?
100%.
So you could click it to the string, but have the accuracy of a hinge.
Correct. Yeah. And so what I've noticed it in spot and stock is where I notice is the last 10 yards. So you're making your stock, you're doing whatever you are, and so now you're going, okay, I know that deer or bull or whatever it is over this little rise. Well, when you get, what do you do if you're shooting a regular hinge? What do? Do you put your arrow on the bow and then put your hinge in and sneak over? Because then you have to have tension, and if it goes off, your arrow goes doink. Or like you said, you have to look down at the last second and do that. But if you have your hinge in your hand and your bow in your other hand, and you get over and it's not where you think it is, and now you have to range it, now what do? You got to let go of one of them. So, and that was the benefit. That's where I really noticed the benefit is I could just clip it on there, range it, put my rangefinder away, pick it up and shoot. So I wasn't trying to fumble with, okay, where do I put my release? Where do I do this? Because I've hunted with a hinge for 5 years. And so, I haven't shot an index finger release, I bet, in 10 years.
Well, and a hinge, too, it has some benefits from a thumb as well, is it just seems like I'm activated in the shot to where my brain can be more patient. On a thumb with my execution, I have to put my pin on the target, pull until the shot breaks. But a hinge, I'm in motion. I'm rotating my hand, and that rotation or that small movement of making that shot break, it seems to like put my brain at ease on the execution. So that's one of the benefits.
Hence why I switched to a hinge.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Yeah, it's a heck of a release for sure.
You guys speaking all your Chinese over there.
I was going to say, and then there's Dan.
Yeah. If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah. Oh, no,
right.
100%. If it's not broke, don't fix it. That is, and people ask me that all the time. Well, do I need to switch to a hinge? If you have no issues and you're accurate and you think you're as accurate as you're going to be, then no. There's no reason to switch to any kind of other release. Shoot what works for you. But if you are starting to deal with some target panic and you are starting to do, get a little jumpy on the trigger and stuff like that, going to a hinge will slow you down. And then the idea is being able to switch. But like you said, you can't switch back and forth until now.
Yeah. It's so tough. I get different impacts. So, I can't switch back and forth, and it doesn't make sense to continue to move my pin so I can train with a hinge and then shoot a thumb. So I've always struggled with that. So, it's like you're an experienced bow hunter, Dale.
So why would impact change? Like, I mean, I don't.
So there's different things, and one is how all hinges operate other than ours. All hinges have a floating hook. And then they have a sear that they sit against, and they have a floating head that connects this all. Okay, so that floating hook has to, as you're rotating the hinge, this comes off and goes and lets go, right? So that pulls. So that free floating hook has a certain amount of tension on the D-loop and where it pulls from.
Got it.
Okay, so you can make a thumb release where you cock it and you do it so it would have a free floating. But most of them, when people build a hinge, they're shorter. And thumb releases are longer. So your draw length changes, your impact point changes. It comes off differently versus releasing. And so we made the Shadow has the exact same hook design where the D-loop hits and the same front edge where it locks, all that stuff is the same angle of the head, the same length of the bodies. You can put the bodies together and they look the same. So your anchor point won't change anything. I actually shoot the thumb because I hadn't shot a thumb in a long time. I actually shoot the thumb exactly how I shoot the ibex. I'll come to full draw, anchor where the ibex you start to rotate. So what I do is I actually, when I anchor, I crank the thumb forward a little bit. I take my thumb and lock it against the back of the release and then shoot it as a hinge and then let it go off. And it's exactly the same. Now I can punch it and do all that stuff too, and it's still the same impact because the design of the release is the same.
Yep, makes sense.
Yep,
for sure. Well, what are the plans for this season? You going to draw some tags there in Arizona?
I hope so.
Are you due for some?
I'm due for a couple. Yep, I'm due for a deer tag. And then
do you have your deer tag from this year, or did you fill that in January?
I have that my deer tag this year. And so, but you still put in
for the limited
in
draw.
August for the limited draws.
Yeah, right.
Yep. I could draw an antelope tag this year.
Nice.
It could be good. Be fun. Yep. I already have an Idaho bull tag.
Good cool. For you.
Yep. So I have that.
Hunting elk.
Yep, I'm hunting elk. Yep. And so, and then I'm going to go back east and try to shoot a couple more whitetail.
You hunting a unit in Idaho you've hunted before that you know?
I have. It's in the Beaver Creek area.
Yep. Yeah, cool. Yeah, well, that'll be fun. Yeah, there's definitely some good hunting there. It's quite a ways north for you coming from Arizona. So
it's a poke.
You show up and try to hunt a week and a half, something like that?
Yeah, which is going to be interesting this year because the season opens, I believe, August 30th, I believe. One of my best friends, I call him my son, an ex-baseball player, is getting married September 6th. Still can't wrap
Oh
my
my
head around
gosh,
it.
that's
Yeah, I know.
hardly a friend.
Dude, I'm like, I'm like, what? He's a whitetail guy, so September 6th isn't that important to him. I said, yeah, but you like to hunt elk too, so this is gonna cause a problem for you. But hey, I'm there to support him. So
Good for you.
So we're gonna try to go, opening weekend, go for a few days, and then if I don't kill, I'll come back after the wedding and stuff.
There you go.
So.
Okay. Yep, and then go out east for whitetails. You're kind of hooked on chasing those big whitetails.
Yeah, I've killed a Grand Slam of deer with a bow, so I've killed all 5 species, and so I actually have 4 of them with a bow that would qualify for Boone and Crockett. The only one I don't have is a whitetail.
Really?
No kidding.
So yeah, I have a Boone and Crockett mule deer, a Boone and Crockett Sitka blacktail. I have 2 of those. A Boone and Crockett Coos deer, and a Boone and Crockett Columbia blacktail.
Wow, you got that Boone and Crockett Columbian blacktail. That's pretty good. What state you shoot that out of?
California.
Did you?
Yep.
Yeah, they grow some big ones there,
Yeah,
don't
they do.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And so the whitetail's the only one I
What's
don't
it
have.
take to qualify for Boone and Crockett for a whitetail?
165, I believe.
Okay.
Which is a stomper whitetail.
Oh, for
It's a big
net?
buck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big
Yep.
deer. So you're going, what state are you going to?
I'm going to try to go to Illinois, and then maybe Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how that goes. If I can draw a Kansas tag, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yep. Sit in a tree stand?
Yep.
Yep.
Tree
How you
stand
got to
or a
do
blind.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Win in Rome.
Yep.
They found an effective method for taking those
Yes,
big bucks, and
yes.
you got to kind of follow the
They are
rules.
very skittish. Hunting whitetail is such a different animal.
Mhm.
I mean, because they're always on alert. They're all used to be hunted, and so the aiming low, and where do you aim, and are they going to jump, and are they not going to jump? You're usually not taking long shots, but yeah, they move.
They're fast.
And, man, they move. I mean, I shot a buck once that was quartering to me at 32 yards. He was quartering to me. I put it right on his front shoulder. I shot. He spun, and I hit him on the opposite side spine. Broke his back.
Crazy how quick they can
32
react.
yards.
Ninja.
I was like, wow.
That's crazy.
So, yeah, they don't mess around.
No, they
They don't
don't.
mess around.
Challenging species,
Yes,
too.
it is. It
Yeah,
really
they get
is.
really crafty, good at
Yep.
small areas,
Mhm.
go nocturnal.
Yep.
They really feel the hunting pressure.
Yep. Do you
Yep.
get to hunt whitetail much?
Mm-mm. No,
No?
more of a muley guy.
Yeah.
Yep. I've tried it before. I've been out to Ohio and set
Okay.
stands, and
Yeah.
then I've killed a bunch of whitetail does in like the river bottoms
Right,
of
right,
Montana
right.
and things. But yeah, I just love hunting muleys so much
Yeah.
that I get caught up doing that. No
Yeah.
matter the season, it's if it's November, I'm thinking about the muley rut,
Yeah.
not the whitetail
Yeah.
rut. You
Yeah.
know, but I'm sure there'll be someday where I get hooked on it. Those big ones are pretty challenging, and
Yep. When you get my age and you don't want to hike the mountains for 5 days,
makes
yeah. It's
for a
like, hey,
good
these
hunt.
whitetails are fun.
Well, it's a chess game. and
Yeah, it is a chess game.
It's like a different game of like, man, it's such a head trip to hunt those things. Those all day sits, like to be
Yeah.
patient and to sit in that stand all day is so difficult.
It's a
and
different
it's like,
animal.
It's a
Yeah.
grind,
Yeah,
but
it
it's
is.
not a physical grind of climbing the mountains day in day out.
Right.
It's this mental grind of having to stay in these stands all day long, and then trying to pick which stand you're going to go and which wind, and then you have so many different options that it's inevitable that you pick the wrong stand for that day, and then the buck was out in this field, so it really makes you question your sanity.
It
Yeah,
does.
it's a different beast for sure, but definitely challenging.
Yeah. I don't take away from any of the whitetail guys. It's a science. They put as much work into it as we do out west, and it's just something that they're so passionate about. And the other thing is when we look at a buck out west or whatever, and we're looking at antler size. We're going, okay, yeah, that's a good buck. I'm going to shoot that buck. Well, they don't do that. They look at age class.
Yeah.
And and so I'm on a farm, and they said, okay, yeah, you can shoot any mature 8-pointer, or a really mature big buck. What does that mean? What do you mean mature? It's not like they got ages painted on the side of them. Well, you got to age the buck and this, that, and other. Yeah, I'm not good at that. Can somebody come sit with me and tell me which one to shoot? Because they want those young studs to grow. Because they can manage them. They got that. They don't got other people hunting their farms and stuff like that, and they're trying to keep them on the farms. And so it's a different thing. But I have a deep amount of respect for those guys.
Mental toughness.
Yes, it is mental toughness.
Yeah,
it's way different.
I got enough points for Iowa this year.
Do you?
Yeah.
Nice.
I think I might do it.
Yeah.
Pull the trigger on it?
Yeah. It's just everybody wants a 170 whitetail, right?
Oh yeah.
But I want to go out there and just shoot a next level buck.
Yeah.
Just something big and old. I don't care what he scores, but
Right.
something big and old. Actually, one of my coworkers, one of our coworkers, his brother has a farm out there and some leases. And there's some public out there too. But some big deer. He actually got a picture of a piebald this year.
Oh, no kidding.
2 points.
Yeah.
I was like, that's really cool. I'll shoot a 3-point piebald. But it's just a whole different realm, isn't it, Dale?
It is.
Like hunting whitetails, and it's different mentally, and it comes down to what we talk about all the time too, and trusting the process and believing what you're doing is going to pay off. And if that's 9 days in a tree stand freezing, I will do it. And
it's a different level of cold because
I've never been so cold.
You can't move around.
Yes.
So
The
it's
humidity.
like you feel like the Michelin Man. You're like got stuff like everywhere, and you're like, oh my God, how am I going to shoot something just trying to stay warm? I had a guy that invited me back to Minnesota, and I'm like, well, what's the temperature like? He's like, it's -9, and I'm like, there's nothing I want to kill that bad.
Yes.
Nope.
Especially coming from Phoenix.
Nope. Sitting in a tree stand. Nope. I don't think I could keep myself warm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a different kind of cold. I brought my Western stuff, and man, I just froze.
Oh, I bet you.
every
Yeah,
day.
because you're used to having to take it off when you're hiking, you're getting sweaty.
Yeah, and I sit on vantage points.
Yeah.
I'm used to bitter cold, but it's not. I'm not used to 10 hours of sitting still. So every day I'd add a new layer, and I finally got it figured out. But it's a different kind of cold.
It is.
If it gets cold, I'm gonna go like around Halloween.
Okay.
So hopefully
you
like
won't
pre-route,
be
like
too
right on
cold.
the front
Yeah,
end.
yeah,
You
yeah,
hope
yeah.
not. But have you guys seen those heater bodysuits?
Oh yeah.
That's
Yeah,
what
yeah.
I'm going for. If
Yeah.
it's cold, I'm getting one of those things.
I have buddies that have heated seats for their tree
Oh,
stands.
yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, okay, now we're talking.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's a different level. But you think about bow hunters, okay? So let's think about that. Back to the Broadhead side. We do very, very well out west because I live in Arizona. The Broadheads were designed for elk, and this, that, and other. But there's roughly 3.5 million bow hunters in the United States. Okay, there's 360,000 in the 11 western states. There's 330,000 in the state of Pennsylvania.
Wow. Yeah.
Run those numbers.
Yeah. Holy smokes.
So it's crazy how much hunting they get to do. And so I think that's what makes those deer so hard to hunt, is because they're constantly being hunted during their season. And their seasons are 3 months long, and there's some states where you got to kill 3 does before you can even get a buck tag.
Yeah.
So it's so different, and that's where we want to expand. I mean, obviously they buy more broadheads. We like those people a lot. But it's a great testing area for people to test things. I'm going to kill X amount of does, and I got to, harvest these, and I got to do that. Because the hardest thing to do to a bow hunter is say, okay, this year he went out and got a new bow, and he got new arrows, and he's got a new sight, and he's, he got his lease, and he's got all this stuff, and he drew his tag, and now he's going to go to Idaho, and it's like, here, try this broadhead. And they're like, whoa, wait a minute, So where back east, they can at least try some stuff.
Test it on does, make sure it's going to perform,
Before
get their
buck-
confidence in the head.
Before
and
the
then,
buck of a lifetime comes in or whatever. So
makes sense.
So that's what we want. We just want people to give us a try and go from there.
Yep, makes sense. Dan, closing thoughts?
Man, lethality. It's changed the way I define lethality shooting a hybrid head in the last decade. It really has. And I'm a fixed blade guy. I grew up shooting fixed blades, believed in them. I still believe in them. I mean, you're going to kill lots of animals
100%.
with, but a hybrid head, it just expands the lethality of your arrow placement and broadhead. Bow hunting's not perfect. It's a game changer for me. I tell guys all the time, it's the most important addition to my kit as a bow hunter in the last 10 years was my broadhead change.
Yep. Yeah, I think for me, definitely the damage, the lethality. Like you say, you don't have a retention problem. Any of my buddies that I can get to try that head fall in love with them. And then for me, a big part of it, too, is the accuracy, the aerodynamics, hitting the place I want to hit is so important. And so I like having an aerodynamic head. So, yeah, it's doing great for me. Elk, mule deer, bears, antelope, about any animal I can find to shoot that thing at. It's performing. So, yeah, keep up the good work, Dale. Closing thoughts?
Yeah, durability is one of the biggest things that we really pride ourselves on. We do get a lot of questions about how the 100-grain head holds up compared to the steel. You shoot a 125, you shoot a 100-grain head. I send you pins all the time because you're going through them, you're replacing them, and so we want everybody to know that the durability is second to nobody. And even the 100-grain, it's 70-75 aircraft aluminum, and they do hold up. You're not going to lose anything on hunting that, or using that head.
It's not even a thing, in my opinion, from what I'm shooting. I mean, I sent you that picture that one time I shot a T-post. Yeah. I hit a T-post, and it bent the ferrule over a little bit. I told him, I was like, I hit a fawn in the shoulder, and it's bent over. Like, what are you guys building over here, Dale? But was there a study, or did you tell me this, that aluminum is actually stiffer than the steel?
It's stiffer, but it's not as strong.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have the flexibility capabilities. Like, you will break the aluminum before, if you put it in a vise and took it, and broke it, you would break that before you would break the steel, because the steel will bend. And so it's just a different animal. But as far as shooting it into, I mean, we shot it into a steel target at TAC, the Kafaru, where you try to hit a spot like this. We shot them in on purpose, and they literally stuck in the steel target.
Yeah.
100 grain, 125, glue in, it all worked.
There's never a thought about durability in my head ever.
Nope.
Yeah.
They've been performing great for me. Yeah. Well, keep up the great work. Keep
Absolutely.
in touch.
Yes.
Let us know anything we can do. And, thanks for taking the time, being
Appreciate
on the podcast.
It. Thank you.
Heck yeah.
Always a pleasure.